Welcome to this AWS security tutorial, where we're exploring one of the most fundamental yet misunderstood topics, IAM roles versus IAM users. In this video, we'll demystify how IAM works, why AWS strongly prefers roles over users, and how to apply these concepts to real-world infrastructure. Everything in AWS is governed by IAM. Every API call, CLI command, or web console login passes through IAM policies and permissions. It decides who can do what, when, and how. And if misconfigured, IAM becomes a major attack vector. That's why mastering it is essential for developers, architects, and DevOps teams. IAM stands for Identity and Access Management. It's the security engine that powers fine-grained access control in AWS. With IAM, you can create identities like users or roles and define what those identities are allowed to do using policies. This includes access to EC2 instances, S3 buckets, Lambda functions, and more. IAM helps enforce least privilege access, which means giving the minimum permissions needed, nothing more. IAM users are persistent identities designed for human access. These users authenticate with a username and password or via access keys. However, relying on IAM users for daily cloud operations is no longer recommended. Their long-term nature creates unnecessary risk. They are best reserved for break-glass emergency accounts or legacy integrations where other access models aren't yet available. The problem with IAM users lies in their permanence. Access keys don't rotate automatically. If exposed, accidentally pushed to GitHub, copied into scripts, or left in a config, they become an open door to your AWS environment. These credentials are hard to audit and even harder to contain once leaked. That's why they are no longer the default method of access. Unlike IAM users, IAM roles are meant to be assumed. When a role is assumed, AWS generates temporary credentials, usually valid for 15 minutes to 1 hour. These are automatically rotated and destroyed when no longer needed. Roles do not have passwords or permanent keys. This makes them secure by design. They are used everywhere: EC2, Lambda, container services, CI/CD pipelines, and even federated human logins. There's a common myth that IAM roles are only for machines. That's outdated. Today, human users also assume IAM roles when logging in via AWS SSO, SAML Federation, or identity providers like Okta or Azure AD. This allows organizations to remove local IAM users entirely and centralize access management. Whether you're an engineer, a pipeline, or a script, roles are how you access AWS securely. When a user or service assumes a role, AWS STS steps in. It issues temporary security credentials, an access key ID, secret key, and a session token. These credentials are valid for a limited time, typically 15 to 60 minutes, and are automatically invalidated when they expire. You define which entities are allowed to assume roles using IAM trust policies. Let's compare. IAM users are persistent, require credential rotation, and are manually managed. IAM roles are dynamic, assume and expire models with automatic credential rotation and minimal risk. Roles are the default for all secure cloud environments. If you're still using IAM users in your daily work, it's time to rethink your architecture. When an EC2 instance needs to access AWS resources, like reading from S3 or writing to CloudWatch logs, the secure approach is to attach an IAM role. No need to embed secrets. The instance metadata service provides the credentials, and they're rotated automatically behind the scenes. This removes the need for manually storing or handling keys. CI/CD pipelines often require access to AWS to deploy infrastructure, push code, or update services. Instead of storing IAM user credentials in your pipeline, configure your CI/CD system like GitHub Actions to assume an IAM role via OpenID Connect. This ensures each pipeline run gets its own time-limited credentials, and every action is logged with full traceability. Top IAM mistakes include assigning administrator, access to everything, not restricting trust policies, failing to enable CloudTrail logs, and, most dangerously, using IAM users for automation. These are outdated practices. Follow least privilege principles, use IAM Access Analyzer, and continuously audit access patterns. The modern AWS recommendation is clear. Use roles and SSO for all access. Use IAM users only for break glass admin accounts. Don't create IAM groups unless absolutely required. Replace all static credentials with federated logins, temporary tokens, and trust-based policies. Try this today. Create an IAM role with read-only S3 permissions. Launch a test EC2 instance and attach the role. Once inside the instance, run AWS S3 LS. You'll be using temporary credentials, no keys, no secrets, no risk. Thanks for watching. If this helped you upgrade your understanding of IAM, give it a like and share it with your team. Secure cloud starts with secure access, and that means mastering IAM roles.